So we are installing new construction windows in an old home. All I'm doing is cutting off the nailing flange and using my little utility knife to do so. Just score it right exactly at the corner where the flange meets with the actual window casing itself. Score that all the way down, maybe twice, with a nice sharp blade, and just pop it down. Just push down on it and it'll snap right off. You can see I've already done that here. Creates a nice straight edge. Then I'm also coming back, and you can see right here, they always do this on the vinyl windows. You will find several corners, if not all the corners, where they didn't quite grind it down enough. So you're going to have to come with your blade and cut that, because that adds on probably about 1/8 of an inch or so onto your window. So anyways, after you do that, then you can bring them in here to your opening. Alright. So these are the windows that are in here. They're single pane. They're storm windows, so single pane with another pane on the outside I've already removed. The other pane on the outside just has screws here in the middle, on the sides, that hold it to this metal casing, and you can just remove the screws and then pry up on the bottom and they just pop right out. Then these, not so easy to remove. They're nailed into the stud framing, so you've got to either remove the panes with heat guns, which did not work in my case because the heat guns were not able to get hot enough. I used 2 at the same time on a single pane, and I still was not able to get the adhesive to remove. Some windows, you heat them up even a little bit and the panes just kind of fall right out really easy. Some windows, not so easy. It just takes a long time and you still have breaks even with a heat gun. So I just decided on these windows not to mess with it, and just to put a tarp down, a nice thick tarp, and break them out and cut them up. Basically where I cut is on these windows. I cut down here at the bottom, here in the middle, and here at the top. Most of the time actually I don't need to cut at the top, just here and here. And when all the glass has been broken out, you can just bend the frame, kind of twist it like this, and it'll just pop out of the frame. And then the next 2 panes, cut down here at the bottom, here at the top, same thing, and then you can just remove it that way. And then cut here in the middle, cut here down at the bottom, so you can pry this part up, and then sometimes cut on the side, on one side at least, to be able to pull it down. But you're always prying off of your stud framing. Do not pry on your bricks, or else you will break your bricks more than likely. So just use the stud framing to pry on. It's not that difficult, it's just messy. So make sure that you're wearing your safety glasses. I'm using a respirator as well, because then I'm grinding on the bricks to remove the adhesive, the old caulking, and any kind of mortar that was sticking in on the inside. And then you can take your window that you cut the flanges off and fit it into the opening. And you're going to want to check for square and plumb. These walls are not square or plumb, so I'm getting them as best as I can, because you don't want your window really far off from what your wall is, or else it's going to look strange. So I'm getting them kind of a happy medium between the two. Your windows care if they're plumb and level to a certain extent. Everybody will say they've got to be exactly square and plumb or else they're not going to open right. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the more level they are, the better they're going to be, because you're not going to have any kind of issues with them opening strangely, like one side catching, the other side being free. But if you're pretty close, within maybe even, I'd even say 1/4 of an inch, the window's not going to be all that noticeably different than if it's exactly plumb. Now, 1/4 of an inch off from 36 inches, that's quite a bit off. You don't want to go more than that. But even in some of these circumstances where it's either tilted in to the house or tilted out a little bit, or mainly it's side to side, you want to make sure that the most important thing is keeping square, that your window's not twisted like this side is higher and this side is lower. The most important thing is to keep these things square so that diagonal measurement from here to there and from here to there is the same. If you don't do that, then you will have a lot more issues than if you're off square or plumb. Because if the frame is twisted, this thing is going to be dragging no matter if you're square. I mean, no matter if you're level or not. So make sure you get everything square. That's the most important. And then where I'm attaching the screws, I'm putting screws through here into the furring strips that are attached to the sheeting through to the studs. So I've got a screw here, here, and up there at the top. From this point up to that point, I'm not sure if there is any kind of a lift assist behind this vinyl here. I don't know. I don't think there is, but just in case there is, some windows have them. These older windows definitely do. I'm not, since I don't know the makeup of the window, I'm not sticking any screws in that area right there. So as long as you've got it as close as you can get pretty much to this middle part, you'll be okay as far as it not bowing in or out. Then I'm putting low expansion foam made for windows around this interior and some down at the bottom as well, and caulking on the outside. Using an elastomeric caulk that is more expensive, but it stretches, expands, it handles temperature changes a lot better than silicone or just plain old painter's caulking, which never, ever, ever use painter's caulking unless you're going to paint it. And even then, I still don't like it because regardless, weather out here, goes to 100 degrees in the summer, and then it gets down to, freezing in the winter. And, I mean, I see it all the time with a wood trim or whatever. You're going to have it bending, moving, expanding, contracting. Moisture, vinyl expands or contracts with heat, whereas wood expands or contracts with moisture. So you get a lot of circumstances where you have wood and vinyl, or brick and vinyl, or different things that they just react differently, and so the caulking likes to separate itself. So use an elastomeric, high quality caulking, more expensive, but it's totally worth it. And just make sure that you caulk it correctly and caulk it well, and that you check it, because caulking will fail. It doesn't matter how good of a caulking it is, eventually you're going to get cracks in it. So check it, every year. Walk around your house and look, just at your windows and make sure that, there's no gaps or anything. Because if you catch it, it's fine. You just put a little bit more caulking and you're good. But if you leave it for several years, and you get more and more water damage, and you have mold in your walls, and yeah, it's no good. So yeah, anyways, these windows will be a lot better than the single pane, or technically dual pane, but storm windows that were here.